And the big data point now is that Lorna Harron, the Senior Manager of Integrity Technology Advancement for Enbridge Pipelines, is going to bring it home so we can all go upstairs and have beer. There you go.
Well, thanks, Carl. I love to be the only thing between people and their end of the day frivolities. That's great. So since I'm the only one standing in the way today, I'll like to thank everybody for actually staying to make it through the last presentation of the day. So what I'm going to be talking about a bit today is really what it's going to take to get to zero from an industry level as well as organizationally from Enbridge perspective. A little bit about me, so you know a little bit about my background. I'm a metallurgical engineer, so again, I speak techo, sorry. But I also have a master's in risk management, which means that I try to keep it high and then I dive really low and I just drive all my staff crazy. So in order to get to zero, because this is what we're talking about today, how do we get to zero? There's actually 3 areas that we're really going to need to continue to improve. And those are people, process, and technology. So this is part of the continuous improvement cycle. And some improvements are going to be incremental in terms of the way that they change, and some are going to be groundbreaking. So if you think about us coming from visual inspection to when we introduced inline inspection technology, that was a groundbreaking change for the industry. And since then, we've been working on improving the technologies, so it's been smaller incremental changes at that point. So it's a lot more common then to see those smaller incremental changes than it is to see those larger groundbreaking ones. So I wanted to show you in terms of continuous improvement. So folks at webinar, sorry for this, you probably can't see the little bit of this pointer. So this is our own history for where we've had leaks and spills. So this yellow is the amount of product that we're shipping. And then the size of the bubble talks about the volumes that we've had. And then it's the higher up it is, the greater the number of releases. And then as you go down, it's lower. So since we've had our Marshall incident 2010, we've done a ton of focus on continuous improvement. When you focus on it, the results come. So what you'll see is that we started getting much smaller volumes released, and now we're getting much, much smaller number of releases. So when you have this focus, the results will come. So the first area I'm going to talk about from a continuous improvement perspective is about continuous improvement in the area of people. So this is the focus on who does the work and how the work's being performed. So learning from other industries has helped us to identify potential strategies to improve performance, but also to sustain improved performance. So one of these areas involves human factors. Human factors, as you all know, play a very significant part of pipeline incidents. So human factors, for those, anybody not know what human factors are? Doesn't sound like it, but you might be not wanting to put up your hand. So human factors is the area of study, so it's like a discipline that focuses on the interaction of people and the systems that they work with. And the focus is to ensure health, safety, well-being, and optimal system performance. And when you talk about well-being, it's the physical and the cognitive side that are both discussed in human factors research. So the understanding and the application of human factors was identified as a gap within the industry. So that was filled within a 2-year time frame using the Canadian Standards Association, or the CSA group, using their express document generation process. Using this express document process, we were able to create a guidance document within a 9-month time frame. So that's really, really fast to get something from idea all the way out into the marketplace. So currently, we're working on how to help the industry to apply that information from the express document. So how do you make it real for the operators? One of the factors that impacts people in their work is training and competency level. So you'll notice that the words on the screen talk about competency enhancement. It's not talking about training, and it's not talking about qualification. It's talking about competency level. And that's a very different thing. So the industry guidance through documents like API 1163 for inline inspection systems qualification have focused some of the efforts towards assuring competency level that we have of service providers like those who perform the analysis on our inline inspection data. And the Pipeline Research Council International, the PRCI group, has a current project that's focusing on the competency assessment of the providers of the non-destructive evaluation, non-destructive testing work that we do in the ditch. So this is an area of increasing focus for the industry, and this is an area that has a huge opportunity to make a huge step change improvement from a safety performance level within the industry. Then within Enbridge specifically, we're working towards competency management which goes beyond traditional training programs and to really assure competency levels for critical roles in the organization. And that by default, going into the competency realm rather than training or qualification realm, has led us on the whole path, like Mark was talking about, that retention of organizational memory and the management of human factors as one of those key areas of focus. Continuous improvement in the area of process really means to me going beyond compliance and going to a much higher standard. And that requires stakeholder collaboration to reach that goal of zero. So both industry and our regulators have focused on the need to improve management systems and focus on leading indicators. And those are two ways that we can help to move that needle further. So the API 1173, you've heard a little bit about that today, that recommended practice for managing for management systems for liquid pipelines, liquid pipeline operators. It's a great document. It's a really, really good document. If you haven't looked at it, please do take a look at it. That'll help organizations to proactively manage systemic risks in the organizations. Also, the National Energy Board in Canada has implemented their annual performance measurement system. So that's another way that we're, as an industry and with the regulators, looking at trying to understand what the current state is and helping to improve performance. So the performance measures are both lagging and leading. So lagging is like number of leaks that you'd have. So it's something that's already happened. Whereas the leading indicators would be, say, how do you find something before there's an incident that happens? So the leading indicators would be examples of number and types of inspections that are being performed. So by focusing on the leading indicators, we will identify and fix prior to having failures occur. That is the whole intent of doing that. And in addition to the management systems, there's been technical process improvements that have been made. So as an industry, we had a consensus that the guidance around the management of crack threats was not sufficient. So through the American Petroleum Institute, so API, there was a recommended practice that was generated. So within our own organization, we've done extensive best practices analysis from other industries to determine how complex systems were able to obtain and sustain high levels of performance. So and I've had a lot of people question how a pipeline could actually be a complex system, but it truly is. It's not just a tube, honest. It's not just a tube. There's lots of things that go behind that from a science perspective. So we've actually taken the learnings from this best practice evaluation of many industries. So we've looked at aviation, nuclear, petrochemical as the start, and we're right now looking at defense, marine, and pharmaceutical, because there's a lot of learnings that you can gather from atypical or non-typical industries outside of what you currently know. So one of the learnings that we find from some of the industries that we'd evaluated was the application of reliability science to their assets to improve performance. So we've taken that learning and we now use reliability science as yet another layer of defense or another additional layer to the integrity program that we have. And this will help us to ensure achieved performance that we're striving for. So part of that reliability program is also setting a reliability target. So we'll say, here's what we have to shoot for. And if we don't meet that, we got to keep doing until we actually meet that level of performance. So reliability science is a great way to be able to determine where you're at. And so part of the use of reliability science includes measurement of your performance level, and it requires use of best available technologies and state-of-the-art analysis of information. a lot of the improvement that we've seen over the last 6 years has been directly related to the way that we look at information and the way that we manage and the analytics that we apply to that information, so that we have the best available knowledge level about how to manage our assets. You've heard a little bit about technology today too from a couple of the folks. This is a really important aspect of continuous improvement. So as an industry, everybody understands that we do not compete on safety. We just don't. So with this knowledge, there's a lot of collaboration that actually happens in the area of research and development. So to ensure that knowledge is, that we gain, the knowledge that we gain and the tools are developed can be applied widely to the entire industry, there's collaboration that's done with no proprietary requirements on technology. So when we go into a joint industry partnership, and you heard Mark talk, for instance, about one in the leak detection side earlier, once we get past that hurdle and we understand everything's done, then the expectation is that that's not a proprietary technology and becomes available to everyone in the industry. So that's really not competing on safety. So with the Pipeline Research Council International, PRCI, every member of PRCI has access to the information and technologies that are developed through the collaborative research projects. So collaboration at the industry level has led to shared costs and shared benefits. So it's been a huge win for all the stakeholders. It also means that we get to do more with the research dollars that we're investing. So R&D supports academic research as well as joint industry projects. So as a regulator, PHMSA sponsors R&D that move the bar towards zero leaks. So with a common goal of zero incidents, R&D is a really good example of how you can have a very effective collaboration environment that helps you do things effectively and efficiently. At Enbridge alone, we spend between $5 and $10 million every year on research and development. And much of this is spent with our technology providers, where we provide money to develop or enhance technologies that then become available to the whole industry. One of our current large spends is with vendors that will be creating the next generation of inline inspection crack technologies. So that's an area that we've identified as an industry that we have to get better. So this is one way of trying to move that bar. Another way that an organization and as an industry that we improve is through the use of what we call blue sky projects. So here we look at performance expectations of pipelines 20, 30, 50 years down the road. And then we work with academia and we look at the science that we need to understand to be able to manage that threat in the future or that performance expectation in the future. And then from there, we will actually take a look at different steps along a path that would be required to actually be able to achieve that outcome at the end of the day. So this blue sky kind of an idea is very different than traditional research and development, where you're managing a threat that you know about today. Here you're anticipating a performance requirement and you're trying to figure out how to get there in a longer term. So how can we get to zero? So we still have more to do as an industry. So we've been improving, but there's still a lot more that we need to do. We're all striving towards zero incidents. Getting there is going to take everyone. It's going to take operators, service providers, regulators, government, the public. So since any risk has the potential for improvement by various stakeholders, then it needs all the stakeholders to be involved in actually the solutioning, getting to the solutions. So government set policy that influence direction. Regulators set the minimum standards that we have to attain those, and then they also assess the ability of operators to meet the standards. Industry participants manage our integrity threats and our risks, and we apply the knowledge that we gain in a way to be able to design, construct, operate, maintain, and decommission assets. Public stakeholders communicate areas of weakness and threats, and they provide new information to us. So as an industry, we need to look for and act on collaboration activities and to share communication information openly. To be transparent, we need to engage others to understand their needs. That's what part of this whole conference is about. We're looking for the most effective ways to engage others and provide information that supports conversations, because that's actually how we get to true collaboration. So to keep moving forward towards zero incidents as an organization, we're focused on human factors and taking this beyond awareness and the required areas like control room management. And then as well, we're moving beyond implementation of actions so that we're looking at measurement beyond its current form and looking at the effectiveness of the continuous improvement that's going on. So if you put in a continuous improvement activity but you don't understand whether or not it's actually done what it was supposed to do, then that risk may still exist. So taking it to that next step from a measurement perspective is really important. So while many operators and regulators look for the answers, we need to remember that everybody has a stake and everybody has a contribution. So we need everyone to engage fully to achieve the common goal of zero incidents. So that's all I have. Thank you very much.